Morning, morning, monsters. It is so good to see you all. And this morning I'm going to be rapid firing through a bunch of tips. Now don't forget, we have actually finished our book of the month. We will be talking about that tomorrow. But this morning I wanted to focus on some dream stuff. And I will be posting a new book of the month. Okay, so things you didn't know about dreams. Some of these you may know, some of these you probably don't. In fact, I guarantee you don't know some of them. Okay, the first one, most common one for new players. You don't do this. You do this. Just a little bit of movement. It's all about the movement in one location, because this has no idea about that. Simple one, but a good one to get us started. The other one is InDreams has an icon glossary. All of our text gadgets, all of our places where you put in text, if you put in like heart, you get an emoticon. There's a whole bunch of them. There is a list on the website. There is also a list on the website that has the glossary for the entire palette. Links are in the description. So let us go through then to some actual in-game tips. Some stuff that has changed and some stuff that is totally new and some stuff that is just obscure. The first one is now your home space is not shared automatically to the world. You have to actually push release home space. This is when it'll get uploaded to the server. This is both for privacy reasons and also so the server doesn't get completely and utterly splattered. Next thing is on your creations thing, whenever you delist a creation, so like when you archiving basically is just taking it off of your My Creations list. It is still accessible in the Dreamiverse if it's in someone's collection or something like that. But also when you unlist something, yes. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, but when you unlist something, you will also just unlist it from search. It'll still appear in the Dreams Buddy. It'll still appear in other people's collections. Once it's out and once it's released, it is actually fully released. The other one I want to go into is doorways. Now I have a particular creation to show this off, and I have shown this off before, but I'd say it's the one that's the least well known for people. Is, where is it gone? Doorways. Lost in space. Here we go. So common thing people don't know is you can actually put this scene is the same as this scene. It's just been cloned. So this right here is a maze of the same scene. So as you're going through it and you're walking through, depending which door you go onto a different scene. It's a small and simple thing, but it allows you to do a lot of crazy hub world stuff. It allows you to do a lot of complexity around that. Then my other favorite one about doorways is, and let's just show through here, doorway demo. So I did a whole video on this one already, but basically if you name a controller gadget, then the name of the controller gadget will be remembered as you travel between things, and it'll remember which doorway you travel through. So as I come through here and I'm in this lovely little kitchen area, now when I go back through, if my controller sensor has been named the same name in both scenes, you will exit at the doorway location. It's a simple thing, it's a small thing, but it'll make setting up levels so much easier. You don't need to do teleporter gadgets and all that kind of crazy stuff. Okay, let's go through some bits and bobs. Something that I realized not a lot of people know. First of all, sound mode. Gadgets. There we go. Stupid Claire. There we go. Brains. Would you believe my brain is having a full-on short circuit here right now? I am looking for it. Oh, there we go. My brain, sound recorder, there we go. So any USB microphone will plug in to the PS4 and the PS4 will recognize it. You will know it when you plug it in, because the PS4 will come up with a little toast notification that's at the top left of the PS4 screen saying a microphone has been plugged in. So if you plug in a PS4 microphone and you stamp it, we now have recording, and it's very high quality recording. Also, if you have a PSVR headset, the microphone in this is perfectly placed and is extremely high quality. So that is another good way to get high quality VO into the game. So now that this has been recorded, everyone knows you can turn sound into an instrument and all that jazz, and that's all very fun. What I didn't realize, a lot of people didn't realize after watching someone make some jump sounds, is let's say we go into here and we tweak the sound effect. Oh yeah, did you know you can tweak the start and end of a sound effect so you can get a cleaner recording? It's a small thing, but it helps. But here's the other thing. You can come in here. Now we can clone that recording, and we can go, oh, actually, I want this take as well here. And so you can now isolate a whole bunch of individual bits from one take. So you can do nice one recording through, and you can slice them up like that. But then what you can also do is you don't need a randomizer gadget to randomize sounds. As long as the sound is on the same row, it will as long as the sound gadget's on the same row, it will randomly pick one of those. So if you're recording like 10 jump sounds, like oof, 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 whatever like that, you can have them all there, and it'll select a bit of the thing. But the other thing, you've got only like say 2 jump sounds recorded here. Well, we can give a bit of variation to that, and the easiest way to give a bit of variation to that is say whenever it plays, let's say we want to tweak the pitch. If you go and you go L1 and X, you can now give a bit of variation. So now whenever this plays, and tell you what, we'll just go out here, we'll grab ourselves a controller sensor. Controller sensor. There we go. And we're just going to use the circle on here. There. And we're going to make it play once, not in sustain mode, because that way we get to spam it. And we're just going to shove this into remote controller. Now, as Kev mentioned in his backwards compatibility stream, remote control gadgets will no longer trigger checkpoints and things of the like. So now, if we're playing here, you will hear
bop, 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 and you stamp bop, bop, and you stamp it, bop, and you stamp it.
See, lots of variation to those sounds, I assume, because I have not got headphones on at the moment because I'm lazy. So yeah, that's a quick and easy way to, yes, if they're not possessed controller gadgets, they will not trigger off checkpoints. It was a change to stop checkpoint spam in various ways that is not intuitive to people. While we're talking sound mode, probably the thing that is done the least in sound mode, undo, there we go, right. Oh, actually, no, undo, there we go. So while we have done a bit of pitch there, now what we could do, I'm going to have to get headphones on for this. There's literally no way to avoid it. Okay. So, so you get those in there, right? So now if we go into, I don't know, distortion, say, now,
and you stamp it, bop, 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 and you stamp it, bop, bop, and you stamp it, bop, 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 and you stamp it, bop.
Okay, right. So that's not got much distortion, right? But then if you go L2 and X, you can add some spice. So now what that means is when we are, let's go to performance mode.
And you stamp it.
Okay. When we are performing, if we hold down L2, it slides over, and that is the case for anything in the audio gadgets. And all of the instruments that has created by default would have some kind of spice setting to give you some variation. It's usually not that extreme, but it's a big thing and it's there. The other thing that a lot of people don't know about the audio canvas is when you draw like this, all of that is actually recorded. And this is one of my favorite ones for if you're making bits of stuff, controllers, animation controllers, things like that. You can abuse this to hell and gone. You just need a self-splitter gadget. And you know, let's get a microchip out here so we can get those through here. I am basically going as fast as I can through a whole range of tips. Drop in chat if there's a particular area of the game you're curious about, because I do have a bunch of stuff I want to go through. Composite node data is one of the most powerful. So all of these here, by the way, you can animate on envelopes and stuff like this. And I'm sure you've seen this. We talk about this in tutorials. It's all really quite handy. But composite node data is so powerful. Composite node data not only tell you the volume of the note, the button that was pushed, right? So if you're animating a complex rig, you can actually pull out the different buttons and you can record a performance on the sound canvas. And as we all know, the sound canvas is all very tweakable and such. But what you can also do is you can like extract the spiciness at the time and the X and Y position. So how is this useful? How is this useful? Well, for example, we can where is it? Oh, fuck it. Just we'll do the easy one. We'll grab an animation keyframe. So let's say there's an animation keyframe that moves that to the right. And then let's say there's another animation keyframe that moves this up. Okay. And then let's get ourselves another splitter gadget. Actually, sorry, it's already been split out to X and Y. So that's your X, that's your Y, and now look, that is animated by what we drew on the sound canvas. Isn't that neat? And we could do something like, we could take the volume, say, and we could shove that into hue cycle. We could tint that to fucking gone, and I suppose volume's not a... Is that actually...
Stamp it.
Oh, hue cycle only works on the internal color of the stroke. So what we can do instead is we can actually pump that into that, and then you'll get a bit of that. It'll be a whole bunch of stuff there. So another thing that a lot of people don't know about sounds, which you may know if you've been on my channel before, but I like to do visualizations of music and such. It's fun, right? It's totally fun. But what we do, if we grab a music track off the Dreamiverse, let's grab someone's random ass music track. Happy release day. There we go. Happy release day sounds all joyous. Now, so you see there is a whole lot of stuff going on here. But let's say we wanted to animate to the envelope of these bits here, right? Now there's a few ways we could do that. We could actually individually wire up the bits and pieces of that. But one of my favorite tricks is actually to just grab a timeline like this and to smack those things onto the timeline. Stretch it out. There we go. And now, if you shove a speaker gadget on that timeline, the speaker will be automatically wired up to the stuff on this timeline. And that becomes immensely useful because, well, it would be really nice if the composite note data and other stuff came through at the moment. But at the moment, the only thing that comes through is the envelope. And so you can now animate to the envelope. Just be sure to turn off auto 3D panning because that's on by default. And then you can animate a sound. And if you want to see an example of how we have done this, just click the actual thank you. An example of how we actually have done this in Dreaming Sweetly. Now then, play. In Dreaming Sweetly, one of the things we have used node data for is, where is it gone? there it is. So these bottles here get wired up to slide in, come on, slide in. The acoustic here. So the note data here is coming out and it is animating individual bottles color up. Why is it? It's going really slow. I forgot how slow this song is. So there we go. You see individual bottles going through there. Right, let's quickly check through chat and see if there's anything I missed. Got any quick tip for robot filters? The distortion tools are your friend. Oscillator modes. Was it? Oh, how do you link to a creation? Okay, so pretty much. So remember how I said for the text gadget in this game, the text processing in this game is kind of bonkers. So you see how I've linked to my creation there. Well, let's go in. Let's start fresh. There we go. So if you are popping a text gadget into the scene, this neatly brings me on to my next big tip for that. If you are playing the game, and while you are playing the game, now you can plug a USB keyboard into your PS4, by the way, and it'll pick it up. And we have one over here that I can plug in now, and you'll know it's working because when you plug it in, you'll get that indicating the keyboard's plugged in, and we can do all this fun stuff. Right now, if you do not have a USB keyboard around, or you are just lazy, if you go to indreams.me, at the top right there is a tools icon. You click onto that, and while and only while you have a text gadget open, you will see that there is a text entry widget, and website can talk to game. If, however, you are getting a bit of lag between the key presses because it is talking between your browser, our servers, and then your PS4, you may want to type your message into Notepad or Excel or something like that and then dump it into there. So if you have a adventure game that has tons of dialogue that you are maintaining, you might want to write that all up outside of the game and then copy and paste it into the text entry widget. It is a nice, quick, and easy way to get stuff into the game. It is publicly available for players, is it not? Please check. Please check. It should be. I'm sure we turned that on. I'm sure we turned that on. Okay, well, anyway. It should be there. I will check. But yes, it's on InDreams. There's a keyboard. Really? Is that not on? Okay. Not gonna get distracted right now about that. Right. So you can do key things like love. Oh wait, no, it's not love. It is heart. Or +1. There's also some key codes like UI. I think it's button. Stupid. Well, if you do the key presses like you do R1, then you can do the controller keys, which is really, really useful for the any controller inputs or prompts you need to get into your game. So if you want to teach people about your controllers, you can type all these in here. There's a whole smack of them. There's like the clone tools in there, or no, it'll be UI clone, isn't it? There is a glossary, so you can reference to that. Tap, that is not actually the best place to go. I'll tell you guys the best place to go is going to be Docs InDreams icons. Boom. That is the official icon list, and we keep it up to date because we also on there have our glossary. And our glossary is our palette glossary. So Docs InDreams has all of that stuff on there. And motion controller gestures, how to. Anyway, Docs is full of useful stuff. Oh, okay. Right. Well, thank you for that. So other than that, there are some cool bits of Markdown and stuff that we support in here. But one of the things you probably didn't know is if you do slash, and then when you're referring to a dream, there's two things we have. One, hold on, let me go out here. Okay, don't save. So there's two ways to get what we call the base ID of a dream, and we have two formats that we describe the base ID of a dream in. I'm just gonna find a random dream I don't care too much about in case I fuck this up. Oh, fuck it, we'll do it on pink. Well, actually, no. I can't do it to myself, can I? Or can I? Maybe I can. Let's try. No, you can't do it to your own thing. Okay, so there's okay, there's two places you can find the base ID of a dream. The full format, which is the hex code format, is on the moderation page, because we have to give it on the moderation page so people can report things via legal forms and bullshit. The other place is if you are on InDreams for a dream and you look at the website URL. So let us grab like Pip Gemwalker here. So there. So you see the edit. Cool. You see the last bit of that URL is what we call the slug format, which is a shortened format of the URL. It's case sensitive though, so be very careful. Now, if I grab myself a text gadget, and this works pretty much anywhere in the game, including the Dreamiverse UI. Text displayer. And I go into there, and I go try this. And I do... I hate this keyboard. MQ... HNT WR UJ GU Natch. Why are you being mean? MQHM. Okay. The in-game text gadget is not doing it at the moment. We might have turned it off in in-game text gadgets. But if you're editing your own creation here, so like there's my collection, and I'm using the hex code there for my collection, which is the full thing. The two are transcribable. It's really just like one of these shortening codes we use. But you do that and you can link through to stuff. But it does not just work for stuff. It works for users. It works for tags. It works for pretty much anything we have base ID for, because it's how we link to stuff. So it's really handy. Also, don't forget full Unicode support. So if there is a Unicode character you want to put in there, you can just put in a Unicode character as well. That's a whole thing. Any idea why the links I showed that didn't work just filtered? That is, if you're getting stuff filtered to stars, it's because the word filter is getting a bit aggressive. If you're having trouble with that, try find the full hex code, because the full hex code is less likely to be filtered. I mean, if unfortunately you have like 5005S or whatever for boobs, then it might get filtered. It's a word filter that's a little bit shit. We need to replace it. And right, so little things. So the stretch tool is one of those tools that still needs a bit more love, right? And when you're in sculpt mode, for example, the stretch tool is super handy and works really well. But this one, the community actually found for us, and we as coders didn't even realize this because it was just an unintentional consequences. One of the things we made sure the stretch tool worked on was the puppet, right? Because it's a quick and easy way to edit the puppet. But here's one that the community found that made me chuckle immensely because it's just too damn good. Is if you have jointed stuff like that, then the stretch tool thinks that that's a puppet arm, and there we go, thinks that's a puppet arm, and you can now do transformations. And you'll be like, Claire, why is that so crazy? Well, I'll tell you why that's so crazy. That's so crazy because we can reset here. Let's grab, oh hell, let's just grab actually no, I want an actual sculpt. I want a nice give me the most thumbed up element. Tyrannosaurus, something I know that has a nice bit of sculpt detail in. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, stamp that in. Bump, 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 bump. Right. Yeah, he's got so much stuff going on. I'm just like, oh, okay, we're gonna just delete all that, delete that. Okay, great. Let's grab out. Okay, cool. That's a so you're wondering why the stretch tool is so insane. This is why this hack with the stretch tool is so insane. It'll kill your performance because there's all kinds of crazy shit going on with it, but it allows you to do that kind of transformation. It's not actually properly supported, but it's a weird thing of the animation system. Sorry, of the stretch tool. So here's another thing, right? Did you know if you're in keyframe mode and you're positioning a puppet, okay, this is an obvious one of R2 is our IK system and L2 is our FK system, and that's why they're colored different. Oh, actually it's going to be more obvious if I do that, and then if I do that, you'll notice that slight shading and that shading. But sometimes a joint won't let you place exactly where you want, and while in keyframe mode, if you hold L1 and R2, no, or is it in, what did we map that to? Sorry, my brain is just, oh yes, that's it. It has to be an extremity and it has to be, okay, yeah. So L1 and R2, so normally I can't move this away from the arm, but let's say for this animation I needed to, you can actually, while holding L1 and R2, pull stuff away. And that's just like one of those ways, sometimes when you're posing weird things and you need it. So if you saw my rat animation and I need to pop the head off, that's how I pop the head off. And it's useful when constraints are getting in your way a bit. So here's another weird one that you may or may not know about the animation tools. I'll be honest with you, I only discovered this about the animation tools when I was in the code just the other day. So in the animation tools, when you have a keyframe and you move this here, and you have another keyframe and you move this here, and this, by the way, is also a top tip if you're doing quite complicated animations and you're finding that the animation's glitching out a bit. So one of the things that we do, you'll notice in the original animation, what it probably should do is a sharp V design, because that's how we animated it, but we've got keyframe smoothing on, and so what it does is it does that quite nice spline, right? So you may want to turn keyframe smoothing off if you're doing a very precise animation, and then you will get a more realistic like to your keyframe animation. Also be aware of how the little stripes on the line indicate time, so you can actually see where it's going to spend its time. But what you may or may not know about the keyframe animation system, right, is it'll only smooth blend over a keyframe that takes less than 1 frame, right? So if we extend this here so it rests for a bit, you'll notice it'll immediately turn off the keyframe smoothing. And that'll also apply here if we extend that there, right? So you notice how when the keyframe is extended, that doesn't go through there. So that's another way of just being aware if your keyframes aren't smoothing, because sometimes you may have sort of extended out an animation like that. So yeah, that was a like little weirdness about keyframe smoothing that you get there. Another thing that a lot of people struggle with is sometimes, so there's a bit of an oversight that we can't do in between keyframes. It's a bit annoying, but what you can do here is you can animate, hold on, you can animate a second keyframe at the same time. But when you finish animating it, you'll notice that it doesn't end up where you want it to end up. That's because it's blending between these two. So now what you need to do when you do that is just take this keyframe off here, kill the power on this, right? Animate it. Okay. Animate down to there. So now we know that that keyframe definitely touches where it should touch, right? We're going to expand it out for a second here. Now, it's not touching the ground, right? But if we blend this up to ease strength 100%, it's still not touching the ground. Why? Because we need to put it up to 100%, right? But that doesn't mean that it matters like, hold on, turn this keyframe power on. It doesn't mean that it matters like it has 100%. What it does is it sums the blends, right? So this is a blend strength of 50% and 100%. So 150%, which means it gets 100% of 150%, right? Roughly speaking, I can't remember if that's the exact math that we use. So one of the ways you can do this is you can just dial down the ease strength on these. Oh, why is the ease strength not? Normally that works. Intrigued I am. Is that a bug? Is that a bug? Okay. See, this is why I always get distracted. We're just going to get actually, we don't need to do a switch. We're in edit mode. We don't have to stress about that. Okay. So this is that, and we're just going to color this so we don't get confused between these. So if we turn this off, this is on the floor. We turn this on. Turn off smoothing? Mother... Why? Why? Oh, has this code changed? Okay, I think this code has changed. The only way you'll now be able to do that then is you will have to rely on the good old slide. Oh well, that's annoying. Needless to say, that is a thing. That is a thing, and we will talk about that another time after I've done a thing. Okay, right. Other bits and pieces that people always mistake. Thankfully, we now have a wonderful tutorial on exclusive gates. So it is all there, and you can go into the exclusive gates tutorial, and I highly recommend it because exclusive gates are uber powerful. In fact, the logic tutorials will actually go through a whole bunch of stuff. I'm trying not to repeat stuff that's in tutorials because the tutorials really do nail the key bits. I'm trying to hit the more esoteric one. Oh, one that Bogdan hit me with the other day on stream, and I was like, what the fuck? And a lot of people will remember when they saw it on stream, and they were like, what, Bogdan? That's been there the whole time and you didn't tell anyone? Is this. You can R1X on the freaking timeline and select a time range. Like, seriously, that's been there the whole bloody time. It's like I knew that you could, in this mode, I knew you could, where was it? It wasn't Solar Row, was it? How did he do? There used to be a... anyway, I forget the thing. But yeah, the fact that that's been there the whole time was just like, left edge only works on clips. Oh, does it? Oh, right. Fair enough. Yeah, so when that dropped in, people were just like, what the fuck? Let's grab reset. Instruments. Synth. Bunk. Yeah, sound gadgets have so many little hidden things. So we all know about playing sounds. We know about the volume, the spice, and the scale, and all that kind of stuff it shows you. One of my favorite ones is in piano mode. If you're being a complete mad person, do you know in piano mode you can do this? Oh, fuck's sakes. That is just my favorite. It's... You can draw on piano mode. How insane is that? It lets you do some weird ass stuff, especially if you're grabbing these strokes and you're just moving those about and you're mucking about with those. You can get some very weird symphonic kind of stuff going on. It's one of those weird things of the text gadget. Oh yeah, I don't know if we ever say the shortcut anywhere, but L1 touchpad switches between performance mode and piano roll mode. And also, yeah, bend is on there, so everyone knows about bend. Other little bits of weirdness. You all know about the oh, not coat mode. Go away. You all know about in stroke mode the whole keyframe animation, because that is so fucking powerful. Oh no, wait, that's not in. Is it? Huh. Okay. Never mind that one. Brains. Kaleidoscope freeze. And where was the other one? It was test mode. You've all seen the new test mode. And where was the weirdness with... Oh yes, this is one of my favorite with the brush details. If you're in smear mode and you bring your brush down to this, so it does this kind of narrow thing, then you can... Oh wait. Then you can sweep the shape. In stamp mode, it'll sweep like that and you can stamp a single thing, which is really freaking handy. But then in... Okay, smear. See, this is what I get for not trying the thing before stream. Okay, that's different on this code now. Huh. Fair enough. Okay. You have to remember, I have things in my head that aren't in here that were thrown out or were changed. But yeah, the stamp extendy thingy is a really nice little really nice little hack. Studio lighting, and where is the motherfucking thing gone? Crop. Oh, no, it's not in there. Okay, right. So that is just some of the ones. I know we have gone very, very fast, and I know I have been a little all over the place, but I wanted to just expose a bunch of stuff because we have a whole bunch of new dreamers in the Dreamerverse, and I wanted to catalog some weirdness in there. We will probably do a lot more of these. I'm hoping to do my evening streams again sometime soon. As you can probably tell, I've still got a bit of a throat in my throat. I'm still on honey lemon. Before we wrap up the stream, are there any more questions before from chat? It's in one of the new tutorials, the shortcut for piano roll and performance. That's good. That's good. Yes, I'm a Time Lord. Dreams Time Lord. Woohoo! It's all good. For those of you on YouTube, this is a live morning show. We do 8:30 in the morning UK time. Come, drop by, ask questions, see that. We're going to say bye-bye for you now, and we're going to just have a quick chat with chat. Ta-ta!